So in December, I got an animal that I have been waiting to get for a long time. In fact, I have been researching red-eyed crocodile skinks before getting Fugaku, which is his name, for over a year. In fact, I think if I check the date on my computer, because I have a document where I've researched a bunch of animals that I want, some of them on there I've never had before, so I mean hopefully one day I do, but a red-eyed crocodile skink was like at the top of that list, and I'm pretty sure that I had started that document like 2 years ago. I really love them. I think they're such a cool species, but I also thought they were kind of intermediate, and I wanted to have more reptile experience under my belt before I got one, which I'm glad I did. Something that everybody had been asking for was a red-eyed crocodile skink tour, and the reason I didn't put one up is because I knew I wanted to upgrade him and I wanted to make it bioactive and I wanted to do a lot with it. So I figured the previous owner's enclosure was great, but I didn't want to display his work on my channel. I wanted to display some of my work and give an enclosure tour of something that I actually did. So his previous enclosure was an 18 by 18 by 12 Exoterra with a built-in stream area. So it's like acrylic siliconed in place, sealed with silicone in place, whatever, and then it would be filled with water. It would have rocks and a filter. This is something that I've wanted to do for a really long time. In fact, I wanted to do it for my fire skink, but I wanted to wait until he was full grown, and he's still not, so still waiting. But I have a couple other enclosures I'm working on right now for species that I don't have yet and I will not be revealing here. I have a couple different species that I haven't revealed here that I am getting in the coming months when the weather gets warmer, and if you are interested in meeting any of them, go ahead and click up here to check out Patreon. So with his new enclosure, I also wanted to incorporate this stream area, and so I know he used it a lot in his previous enclosure, so I built him a nice, I would say it's a little bit bigger. I wouldn't say it's double the size, but it definitely is bigger. And so I wanted to build that in his new enclosure, which is a 24 by 18 by 12 Exoterra, and I figured while I'm at it, I'll make it bioactive. Now, the siliconed stream area was problematic, and that's the only reason this intro is kind of long, because I want to preface this for anyone who gets into it. But typically, Exoterras can hold water up to their doors. Like, they're siliconed and there's no water that's going to leak out. In fact, I have a frog tank that is entirely water in the bottom and it does not leak. But this Exoterra, that must have just been manufactured improperly, or the silicone must not have been perfect, because it leaked like a whole week after I set it up. So I had to take everything apart and re-silicone the Exoterra part. So the part that I had created out of silicone was fine, but the part in the Exoterra leaked. And it leaked into the frame, and then like it carried around the frame and leaked into my dresser. So my dresser is now ruined, but it's okay. It's not a nice dresser, so I'm not really that upset about it. But a tip, if you are ever going to create a silicone or stream area in an aquarium or in an Exoterra or whatever, silicone everything. Okay, that's my major tip. So, without further ado, sorry this intro was so long, but I wanted to put that disclaimer. We're gonna go ahead and get started looking at Fugaku's bioactive enclosure. This is a faraway look at my red-eyed crocodile skink enclosure. It is a bioactive enclosure, which means there's a drainage layer, there's soil, there's a cleanup crew, which is springtails and isopods. I'm going to get into what a bioactive enclosure is in a later video, where I can summarize basically what bioactive means and all of the things I've learned throughout building bioactives. Today, we're just going to take a tour, but the essentials are a drainage layer, and then you're going to have mesh or some sort of fabric to keep the soil and the drainage layer separate, and then you're going to have your soil, which can sometimes grow plants, and sometimes people don't want to grow plants, but they still want to have the cleanup crew, which are the isopods and the springtails, like I said. And so you'll also want to have things like leaf litter, because it breaks down and offers something for them to eat. But like I said, we'll get into that in a later video. But just for those who are not aware, that's what bioactive means. Now, let's get back to the tour. So it is currently nighttime here, and the reason I'm filming at night is because there's a window behind this enclosure, and what happens is the light comes through and it really messes up with recording or taking photos of the enclosure. So we're doing this at night with the flash on my phone to offer light in the front and in the back without being disrupted by the sunlight that comes in the bedroom. Alright, now let's go ahead and take an in-depth look. We'll start in this corner right here. Something that you may notice over here is the like water dish for my tiger salamander, and also my tiger salamander's enclosure is over here. My tiger salamander is also in a live planted bioactive. I'm going to tour that in a separate video, so if you're interested, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you are alerted when I post that video. I'd like to also state that this is not a care guide for a red-eyed crocodile skink. I don't have one on my channel yet, as I have not had Fugaku yet for the 6 months that I like to wait before I start to post care videos. I feel like it's irresponsible to post a care video before I've had an animal for more than 6 months. Alright, let's get started. This piece of wood right here is from Petco, and it stretches from over here all the way over here. And as you can see, there's a creeping Charlie starting to grow on it, but we'll get to that in a second. So this piece of wood is from Petco, and it offers great coverage for the ground. So when my red-eyed crocodile skink comes out of his hide, which is back there, and trails down here to poop, because he likes to poop right underneath that, it offers a good, safe, secure little area for him to travel through, because red-eyed crocodile skinks are notoriously shy, do not want to be held or touched or seen by the naked eye. They just want to run right to the poop spot, right to the food, and back to the hide. And so having a lot of ground coverage is really going to help that. Beyond this piece of wood right here, we have a cork hide. It is like, not really a cork round, but it definitely is curved, and it's kind of easier to see from over here that it's curved. But that is his warm hide, and as you can see, there is a heat mat attached to the side. It is set to 80 with a thermostat. Actually, I think it's set to 79, but it shouldn't go hotter than 80 because they are sensitive to heat. This is where he spends most of his time. I also have some philodendron. I think it's how it's pronounced. If it's philodendron, I'm sorry. I'm horrible at pronunciation. But we have 2 growing right here. All of the live plants that you see in this enclosure were either from Josh's Frogs or Amazon, and this philodendron back here, as well as this one, originally came in a bioactive enclosure that was given to me, and I didn't have use for it, so I took it apart, and I kept all the plants in planters in the pet room, and fortunately I was able to take both of these and put them in here, and they're doing well. As you can see, there's some new sprouts right there, and it's a beautiful plant, and I'm really excited to see how it flourishes in this enclosure. Over here you will see a piece of the background, which is a forest tile. It is from ZooMed, and basically I just, siliconed one into the background to make it look nicer, but I also had kept other pieces of it to build on over the water section, and as well as here. This offers a cold hide, so if he doesn't want to be near the heat and he wants to hide, he can do so right underneath here. Right here is his food dish, which all animals must have. There's a couple mealworms in there that he did not finish, which is kind of normal since he did just get moved to this enclosure last week. He's being a little finicky about eating, but he has been eating and pooping regularly, so very fortunate. Let's focus on this corner here for a second. As you'll see, there's a lot of sphagnum moss in this enclosure, and that's because red-eyed crocodile skinks require high humidity. Not only is sphagnum moss good for the cleanup crew because it offers them places to burrow and hide in so they don't get snacked on. Well, it's not a bad thing if they get snacked on, but like the animals can eat them, but you want them to populate and reproduce and live in the enclosure, so if they all get eaten, then you're out of your cleanup crew. But anyways, so sphagnum moss is good for multiple reasons, and if you have an animal that requires high humidity, sphagnum moss is always a good choice. This plant right here, which also is from Josh's Frogs, is a creeping Charlie, and what they're known for is basically offering ground coverage and growing very fast, and they'll grow over top of things. As you can see, it's already starting to pull towards the light over top of the wood, which is exactly what I was hoping it would do, so I'm very happy with that. I also need to mention that all of this bioactive stuff is from Josh's Frogs, the drainage layer and the soil, which is their ABG soil. I have had excellent success with them, and also the enclosure that I took apart before that was a bioactive was all Josh's Frogs materials, so I highly recommend them. Check them out in the links below. Over here we have more of the forest tile. It is siliconed all the way back, as you can see where the bamboo is. We'll get to that in a second. But the reason I have this here is, one, to offer him coverage when he poops. He likes to poop in this corner. And then this just offers the ability to easily get in and out of the water, and also to utilize the space above the water. So he can hide underneath of it when he's in the water if he's not feeling secure, because he actually does go in this water pretty frequently. In fact, he sheds in this water. Let me show you some of his shed. See it right there? Cute. But in his old enclosure that his former owner made for him, he had a water section and he used it all the time. So I wanted to remake that, and offer a larger one for when he's full grown, because he's not full grown yet. This section still actually needs a bit of work, but I wanted to put this video out. All I'm gonna do is put some moss, some live sheet moss on top of here, and hope that it grows. It says that some moss will grow on the ground and some will grow anywhere, so let's hope I got the right one. In the very back of the enclosure we have some live bamboo. The corner back here was missing a lot of green. It was missing like life, and so I wanted to put bamboo back there. I love bamboo. You can grow it pretty much anywhere and anyway. We've got a yellow leaf right here, but that's not a big deal. They did just get put in there, and it's right underneath of the fogger, which we'll get to in a second, so I think that's why the leaf is green. Or I mean yellow. The bamboo is right directly in his water. His water section is just a siliconed in area in the Exoterra. I used aquarium safe silicone and some acrylic sheets I had left over from the gecko bookshelves to create this little stream section. In the wild, red-eyed crocodile skinks live like right next to water, so I thought not only did he have it in his former enclosure, but it would be really great and essential and to have it in his new enclosure. It'd be good for the humidity, it'd be good for him to be able to get in the water, and so yeah, that's his water section. The rocks are in the stream area, one, for aesthetics, but more importantly so that it isn't too deep for him. So the rocks are built up over here so he can get in and out easily. He also has this ledge to get in and out easily, and I know it looks really deep, but it only goes up to my first knuckle, so right here. It's not very deep at all, so no worries. He can get in and out. As you saw, his shed was already in there, and it is very safe. He's not going to drown. They are not excellent swimmers by nature, so you don't want to put them in something that's too deep. Now, to show you what I mean by the fogger, which is this part right up here, as you can see, that nozzle up there, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on high, which it normally isn't. As you can see, it's not on high right now, but when it's on high, it puts out some incredible fog, and when the doors are shut, it builds up very fast and looks very cool. Here, I'll show you. I believe the fogger is made by ZoomEd, but I use it just to increase the humidity in his enclosure, so it has like a slow stream of fog that comes out all day, and then once a day I will boost it up to high for a minute and just let everything get a little saturated. See how cool that looks? Oh, one more thing to note. There are acrylic sheets on this side and this side that help keep some of the humidity in as well. Don't mind that tape mark on the door. I need to get some like Goo Gone or something because I can't get it off. But you see how quick it fills up with fog? And it starts coming out of these holes as well, and also it comes out the top. So we're going to go ahead and lower that because it doesn't need to be on that much. Look how neat, huh? That's so cool. Anyways, that is it for the tour. I'm gonna go ahead and put in some footage of when I first introduced him to the enclosure, as well as some photos of him in general, since you didn't get to take a good look at him today.
You can go somewhere casual in this, you can go somewhere dressed up in this. This could be great for a date, it could be great for hanging out with the kids. There's so many places you can wear this. This isn't just a daytime look. Do you want to take a seat with us? Sure. Come join us. Okay, so what you think of this?
I love the look. I love being confident. I didn't realize how not confident I was, really. I was just throwing stuff on it like I didn't care.
Go find your hide.
Now I care.
There you are. And here you can see I've added some of the sheet moss, so hopefully this will grow into the soil. I also included some up here, but I put some soil down on top of this level so that it actually has some soil to grasp onto. You can see some of it right there. But that's the only change I've made since filming the video originally. So there's the moss. Looking good. So I hope you enjoyed taking a look at Fugaku's Bioactive Enclosure. It's a blast. Like, I've had a lot of fun. It's very stressful, I'll be honest with you, planning out a bioactive and making sure you get the right plants because they require such high humidity, as I mentioned in the video, so I was like afraid of killing plants. But it's been really great and I'm really enjoying it. And I recommend Bioactive if it's something that you're interested in. I recommend Bioactive and Live Planted if it's something that you think you can pull as well. And hopefully my video helped. I'm going to create a video after I'm done all of my Bioactive Enclosure tours on some tips that I've learned along along the way of creating bioactives. So if you're interested in something like that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way when that video comes out, you'll be here to see it. And hopefully it helps you out, because I have learned a lot of things in these past couple months of creating bioactive enclosures. That's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you guys then. Bye!